Soapbox, where I discuss issues affecting international students and things that can help you thrive within college and beyond. This week, I'm discussing how to select schools that you're going to apply to. This is really important because many international students will not have the privilege of ever setting foot on a place before they apply there. And so the things that are going to help you make the best decision for where you're going to spend the next few years of your life is really important because many people don't have friends or family who have gone there or a real experience of that. So all you have to rely on is information from a distance. And this can be a lot to sort through because they have thousands of institutions at the US. And so going through this is going to be a really rigorous process, but there are a few things you can do that will help you make the best decision for yourself. Now, I put down accreditation as the first thing because in many other countries, there's lots of misinformation that comes from people who call themselves agents or consultants, and they sometimes charge students for places in universities. These end up being complete shams, and these universities don't have credentials or may not even exist. And so the first thing that you need to do when you're in this process is checking that schools are accredited. So the US Department of Education maintains a database of the thousands of institutions that they have and the ones that are registered to give out degrees. So going to this website gives you a picture on if this place is accredited and it's legit. I put the website in the description to this video so you can always check that out. Just type in the name and it tells you. If it finds it, it gives you information about it. Money, money, money. We're all thinking about it. And for many people, including me, that was one of the main determinants of where I applied. Understanding the cost of that institution for each year is vital because down the line, you're going to go through the visa process, applying for your student visa, and you're going to need to show that you have enough money for at least the first year. So understanding how much your family is willing to spend on this is the first step that you need to know because that determines where you're going to spend your energy applying. You don't want to apply somewhere and then realize you can't afford it. In addition to this, you should be kind of looking for places where they do offer scholarships to international students. Not many schools do. And so between narrowing down for your budget and then narrowing down for scholarships for international students, you'll be able to cut down many other options that may not fit you for money. Location, it's all about location. Knowing the right fit for you for the kind of place that you want to live is one thing to consider because you want to have somewhere that you're kind of familiar to. If you're always been in a big city or if you've always been in a quiet town, you might want to have that same fit in your university. Or you may want an adjustment and you want to live a new experience in a different style. So knowing what you want for this is important. And also the location affects the cost of living. So this adds to the money conversation and knowing how much you're going to spend on housing, for example. Also for places that have small towns, they often college towns that are built around the university. And as an international student, you may have to remain here during holidays. And so you might want to consider somewhere that you still have all your services and all your needs when school is closed and when most people have left. So a big city might be better for you. Or if you want to experience sports events, concerts, different things, those are more likely to happen in bigger cities as well. Or being closer to international airports since you'll be traveling often. These are some things to consider. Also, you may want to look at places where you have a good concentration of people from your country, for example, or people from your culture, because these could provide places for you to go during the holidays, people for you to meet and have a home away from home when you're at that university. It's making sure that the major that you want is offered at that university. You may also want to check that individual majors are accredited when you do that, because different departments or different fields will have their own accrediting body that determines if this school can really give a certificate for this field. If you're 16 to 18 and you're not too sure what you're going to do for the rest of your life, US schools also have the advantage of having you be an undecided major. Being undecided means you're able to talk to advisors that help you choose classes that will still progress you towards your degree, but don't lock you in on a certain path. These are general classes that most people have to take to get their degree, regardless of what field they're in. So you'll be taking these classes early on while feeling out the school and what you're interested in, and then you can declare a major afterwards. In line with that, understanding how credits work at the university towards your degree is important as well. You may want to look at only schools that have advanced credits for things that you completed before. Like if you did some university education in your country, knowing that the school will accept that and will help you skip ahead a few classes instead of starting from scratch will be a big advantage to you. For example, I completed the Cambridge A-levels in Nigeria, and Cambridge gives a database of universities in the US that do allow you to use A-level credits for classes at the university. So I was able to skip a chemistry class and begin my math journey in calculus instead of pre-calc or before. With this, you're saving time and money and getting ahead towards your degree because of things that you've already done. So you're not spending money and time in two places, and you're moving ahead as you should. Now, I say correspondence and communication because these are my personal things. They aren't filters that you see on any website, but they're things that make a difference for me personally. When you're applying to schools, you often have to find information with them or kind of communicate with them, exchange documents. And there's a way you can tell the vibe of who you're communicating with. You can see how much interest they have in getting international students and catering to you. My example is in my application process, I applied to all my schools at the same time. And with the school I eventually got to attend, I would have them email me documents so I could see them, and then they would mail me all the way in Nigeria in 3-4 days. This showed me that they were really putting in effort to making sure that they were communicating with me, keeping me updated, and they were going to be committed to me in a way. Whenever I communicated with them, it seemed like there was interest there from them. On the other hand, I had schools that would take months to mail me stuff, and that just didn't seem like they were very interested in having me there. So my decision with my school seemed to pay out even more because they ended up giving me scholarships and they had things that were catered to international students. So this is something that you have to judge on your own and see in your communications with them when you try to find information or when you reach out to them. With student life, there are usually things that universities in the US offer. You can check out my video I made on student involvement for ways to get involved and the benefits of that. But you may want to be interested in certain things, and you can check these out before you apply to colleges so you can have experiences that enrich your time there. For example, you can look out for multicultural organizations or resources that university has, and you can check these things to be a home away from home for yourself, which will help you feel more comfortable there and just make your time there more fulfilling in general. Knowing what you want beforehand can help you filter through some universities that have these more than other ones, and also resources for international students as an example. A more present thing that you can consider is how easy the application is. My mom always said, what's worth doing is worth doing well. And you may want to take an easy way out or not, but sometimes it just doesn't seem like it's worth it when you have application fees that are really high, or you have several levels of essays to go to a school that doesn't seem very highly ranked. I'm sorry, you have to say it. But the thing with me, I did all of those essays and everything, and I was fine with doing that. But depending on what you want, you may not want to go through all of that, and you may not want to pay all of this money to all of these schools. And so understanding if the schools are waiving some things like the TOEFL exam, for example, or just the things that they want from you and things that make your application easier. If you have schools that are under the common application that allows you to submit one thing and all your information goes in all together versus many individual ones. These things can make your life much easier right now. And it doesn't have to be a shortcut per se. You can find easy ways to do things that aren't bad ways of doing things. A lot of people focus on rankings and wanting to go to the very best schools. But for the most part, education in the US should be standard wherever you go. These big name schools are higher ranked, and they usually have probably world leading faculty at the institutions. Knowing what you want and knowing if that is something that you value will be important. People still do give lots of preference to that when you go to schools that are highly ranked. But for the most part, you are not getting a much worse education if you're not going to a top 10 school in the country. These also tend to be more expensive. Right now in the application, the rankings really just help you to know how accepting the school is. So understanding if they're accepting 10% of all students who apply, or understanding if they accept 50% of everyone who applies. This helps you to know if this is a more ambitious school that you would put more effort into and you're less likely to get in because of the percentages, or if it's a safe school where you can kind of commit to the fact that you would have an acceptance from them and you can go there. Some other rankings value things like diversity, or the value, which is more like how much you're paying for the school versus how much graduates from the school usually earn. There are rankings in many different areas, but for the most part, those won't change your experiences too much. Now, of course, you don't want to go to the worst ranked school in the country, but you shouldn't dwell too much on that, apart from using the information to know the acceptance rates of the schools and kind of the effort that it shows on some key areas. If you can break down rankings into some certain categories, you usually also have rankings for majors. And so the school might be ranked high in some things because they're good at that, and they may not be so good in some other things. And so recognizing that rankings also vary for a major can help you to know that this is a great business school, but it might not be the best engineering school for me, for example. And that gives you some information on where you want to apply as well. You may want large or small, public or private. These determine things like how the student's life is going to be, what kind of attention you get from professors in a large or small class, and things like research where they have bigger expenditure on that or smaller. So finding the right fit for what you want for your major, and the community in the school itself depends on the size or the type of the school. With this, you have options of also going to a community college where you get an associate's degree in 2 years before transferring to a university. This helps many people to save money in those first 2 years when you may be taking more general classes as well. Those are just a few things to consider. There's a much bigger picture for institutions, and you have to look at them on an individual level sometimes. With all of these factors, you have to use tools to help you filter through all of that eventually. So I like to use the College Board website. College Board is the organization that organizes the SATs. So on the College Board website, you're able to put in lots of these factors that I already mentioned, and you can save your searches. It lets you filter them really quickly, and you can have a good picture of these institutions that you're looking at. So having a short list on there with all of your parameters put in can make things very easy for you, and you can always come back to it. You can compare them. So that's one thing that I used that made my process easier. If you've gone through the application process and there are things that you use in your search, feel free to comment and add to the conversation. Thank you guys for watching another episode. Remember to subscribe and share if you think there's anyone who could benefit from this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.